Hi everyone, welcome to Camille's Holistic Health Show. I'm Dr. Cam, and today we're going to talk about highly sensitive people, their traits, their characteristics, and what you can do around dealing with it if you're a highly sensitive individual, especially around now where we are going through the COVID-19 pandemic. So, 1 in every 20 people are considered highly sensitive, and 42% of the population is not highly sensitive, meaning that most things don't bother them the way a highly sensitive person really is. So, who is a highly sensitive person? A thinker, a cautious person, someone who's very conservative, and who are, watch everything that they are going to do. They weigh things out and they don't do things irrationally or through harsh, actions. So every society needs really a highly sensitive person, just as we need warriors, leaders, and risk takers. Okay, so if you are a highly sensitive person and you're watching this video is really, going to help you, benefit you, and know that there are many other people in the world that are still also dealing with the same issues. So a highly sensitive person are often people found in advisory. They advise people. They're counselors. They're advocates for other people. They are also in the medical field. They love helping other people. So, there is no rule to who is a highly sensitive person. There are lots of highly sensitive people that become um, you know, anything that you don't expect. So just know that as well. Nothing is a rule, and we should know that as well. So many non-sensitive people are really shy, timid, introverted, and fearful, while there are many highly sensitive people who are outgoing, super friendly, extroverts. So non-sensitive people can be shy, they can be timid, they can be fearful, and same goes for a highly sensitive person, where they can be outgoing, extroverted. So basically what I'm saying, there's really no rule when it comes to the personality type, the characteristics that they have, and the types of work that they go into. So remember, this is an ocean that we live in. This is the world that we live in. And no particular person, based on how they look, based on what they say, what they do, um, how they carry themselves, it does not mean that they're highly sensitive or not highly sensitive. So here are some of the characteristics, traits. Shyness. You'll probably find a large amount of people who are shy to be highly sensitive, but that's really a myth. A lot of sensitive people are also shy. So sometimes that is taken as shyness if someone does is actually sizing up the situation. They're probably doing that, and people you know just do these things accordingly. So remember that there are lots of rules, there are lots of myths, and the first impression definitely does count. It's not just the way a person is dressed, the demeanor that they have, the attitude that they have, any little subtle movements or sensitivity that they may have. We process our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations that we receive in new situations. So when someone seems shy, it's just apparently maybe the situation they're in at that very moment. So An introvert is another characteristic. This is another myth. You may find a highly sensitive person can be extroverted, outgoing, fun-loving, and you will find some non-sensitive people that are introverted. So don't, mistake uh, and overthink this. Inner reflection is definitely a characteristic of an introvert, and they are deep thinkers as well, but they also have characteristics of being an extrovert as well. So this is, because our nervous system can go overload in situations that a non-sensitive person would find somewhat stimulating. So that is definitely a characteristic to remember when you're a highly sensitive person over the different types of characteristics that I had mentioned earlier that can actually be a myth. Okay, so fearfulness, and unless you are completely unemotional and have no lack of conscious consideration towards other people, who can't say that they're never been fearful at any time or any given time, this is an exclusive trait of, this is definitely not an exclusive trait of a sensitive individual. So again, it all definitely depends on the situation at hand and the people involved and the environment you're in to be considered fearful about something or someone or in the environment itself. So timidness, this is again cautious, careful evaluation of certain situations. Um, you need to see the entire picture and the possible results, consequences for our actions is just in our nature. So timidness can be a characteristic as well, but just remember that if everyone rushes into everything, we'd have even more chaos in the world. So being timid is not a bad thing as well. So too sensitive. Yes, this is definitely a trait of highly sensitive people, but it could lead to lights being too bright, loud noises, smells, energy vibrations, that they get absorbed and processed and evaluated. So too much activity and noise often, definitely a highly sensitive person cannot handle. Okay, so what are some of the things that a highly sensitive person can actually do to avoid being drowned, being overwhelmed, uh, being, misinterpreted? Because that's definitely a characteristic, definitely something that occurs due to someone who's highly sensitive and has characteristics that people assume that they have and may not have, and they are labeled as highly sensitive people. So vice versa, highly sensitive people have been around for a long, long time, since they've walked this earth, because even animals are, 20% of animals are also highly sensitive. So we are always here working to make the world a better place, and know that highly sensitive people are very considerate, very uh, understanding, very compassionate, and they are people too, and need to be respected as well. So here are some tips for when you're highly sensitive and you need to deal with the world around you, especially now. Uh, Lack of sleep can really affect someone who is highly sensitive. You can get very moody, you can get very irritable, unable to function. So getting enough sleep can help you cope with the overwhelming feeling you get around the world. Okay, so wearing headset, um, whether it be uh, during certain times of day, whether certain things really irritate you, lawnmowers, cars, loud trucks while you're working, loud babies in restaurants, screaming babies in restaurants, uh, music while you're sleeping at night. These are ways to give you control over your personal space and your personal peace that you need during that sensitive time that you're going through that can actually be intrusive to you uh, during certain times, especially when there is a lot of noise and things that can irritate you. And then eating. Eating is so important. Binge eating is definitely something that you know can irritate someone who's highly sensitive, and it could also be due to some uh, hormonal imbalance. So you need to take a look at that, and also insulin is another hormone to insulin resistance can actually affect you, especially if you're eating too many carbs at one time. I suggest eating or popping a fish oil with omega-3 to help the brain, because the brain really loves a lot of fat, to combat the sugar that you might crave and affect you as a highly sensitive individual. So that time you need to decompress is actually very, very important to try and reduce a lot of the noise, the crowded environments that you have. So decompressing is a great way to have a room, have a nice chair that you sit in to get relaxed and take that time and get that quiet time you need to re-energize. And limiting certain foods. Sugar, like I had mentioned, gluten is another one. Um, Caffeine and chocolate, definitely. We are lovers of that. Who isn't? Some people don't really crave it, but at times women do. So just remember to be aware that if you're a highly sensitive person, take the caffeine into consideration. So if you give yourself some time, that space to get things done at certain times will be also great. Structure your time to work at certain times. If you work during different shifts, just remember that maybe working in the afternoon or the evening shift might actually work better for you than working in the morning, to give you that calm that you need to carry out through the whole day. Okay, and getting things done in certain times of the day. This actually can work for you if you are overstimulated by crowds, going to the grocery store during downtimes when no one's really there, running your errands during the weekends instead of weekdays when there's rush hour, and just walking, going through nature during certain times. So where the walkway or the pathway in which people jog, uh, it's not that busy. So different things to consider if you are highly sensitive. And surround yourself with beautiful nature. This is something that can actually be naturally healing for you and calming for you. So walking through nature is a great way. Doing walks in a park doing things like fishing, um, doing things like boating, and feeling that calmness come over you is excellent for highly sensitive people. So I went through the traits, the characteristics, and more importantly, how to handle your highly sensitive situations, and so you can live a more abundant and fruitful life. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and also uh, hit that bell to get notified every time I have a new video coming up. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye now.